Greyhaven always pretended to be calm in the mornings. The city wore quiet like a costume, thin and convincing from a distance, but brittle up close. You could hear it in the way delivery trucks exhaled at intersections, in the impatient tap of shoes on concrete, in the faint sirens that never fully stopped, only drifted farther away. Morning made people believe nothing bad would happen yet. That belief was the most dangerous thing about it. Ethan Moore believed in mornings. He believed in routines and small mercies, in the way a city could feel gentle if you moved through it the same way every day. He rode his bike because it kept his life simple. No traffic arguments, no radio voices shouting bad news before breakfast. Just balance, motion, breath. The bike was old, the frame scarred and the chain loud, but it had carried him through 3 jobs, 2 apartments, and a quiet life he had worked hard not to complicate. He pushed off from the curb on Alder Street just after 7, the air still cool enough to sting the lungs. Shops were half awake, their metal shutters rattling upward like reluctant eyelids. A bakery leaked warmth and sugar into the street. Ethan nodded to no one in particular, the way people do when they feel at home somewhere. He had no idea that several cameras were already watching him, silent and patient, fixed to buildings that had outlived countless lives like his, across the street. Standing too still to belong, was a man who did not believe in mornings anymore. His name was Rowan Pike, though almost no one in Greyhaven knew it. Names had a way of falling off him. Records misplaced them, conversations forgot them, faces slid past him like rain over glass. He stood near the entrance of a closed repair shop, hands tucked into a jacket too heavy for the season, eyes moving in short, restless jumps. He wasn't looking at Ethan at first. He was looking at the street itself, as if waiting for it to do something wrong. Rowan had slept badly. The night had pressed on him, thick and endless, filling his head with the same looping thoughts that never reached a conclusion. He felt watched, cornered, cheated by the simple fact that other people moved through the world with ease. Every sound scraped him raw. Every glance felt like an accusation. He hadn't planned anything. Planning required patience. What he had was pressure. When Ethan slowed at the light near Market Bridge, placing one foot on the pavement, the moment sharpened. Rowan noticed the bike then. It wasn't a special bike. Anyone else would have seen rust, wear, a loose brake cable. Rowan saw escape. He saw motion. He saw something that could take him away from the noise inside his skull. Even if only for a few minutes. The thought landed hard and sudden, like a dropped plate shattering in the mind. The light stayed red, cars idled. A bus sighed. Somewhere a phone rang and went unanswered. Rowan stepped forward. People later argued about how fast it happened. Some said it was instant, others swore there was time, a warning, a chance to stop it. The footage would show the truth, that it took only seconds, and seconds were more than enough. Rowan's foot connected with the back wheel. Not a wild kick, not a desperate one. Controlled. Precise. The bike lurched sideways and Ethan went down hard, palms scraping asphalt, the breath knocked clean out of him. Surprise came first. Then confusion. Pain arrived third, late but eager. Ethan barely had time to look up before Rowan was there, shouting words that fractured as they left his mouth. They didn't form a sentence. They weren't meant to. The knife appeared in Rowan's hand as if it had always been there, pulled from the pocket of the heavy jacket with practiced ease. It caught the morning light and made it ugly. The street reacted in pieces. A scream from the sidewalk. A horn blaring too long. Someone laughing nervously, as if it were a joke that hadn't landed yet. No one moved toward them. No one moved away fast enough. Ethan's first instinct was not heroism. It was possession. The bike lay between them, and his hand reached for the frame without conscious thought. It was his. It was part of his life. He grabbed it and pulled, trying to stand, trying to keep Rowan from lifting it away. That decision rewrote the morning. Rowan's face changed. The confusion drained out of it, replaced by something colder, sharper. The knife moved. There was no dramatic arc, no cinematic pause. Just a short, brutal motion, close and efficient. Ethan felt heat bloom in his side, then a pressure that didn't belong there. His legs folded before his mind could catch up. The blood surprised him most. It felt unreal, too red, too fast. He heard himself making a sound he didn't recognize, somewhere between a gasp and a plea. Hands appeared near him, then vanished. The bike clattered to the ground again, forgotten. Rowan stepped back as if startled by his own reflection. His chest rose and fell too quickly. For a fraction of a second, he looked like a man waking from a bad dream. Then instinct returned. He turned and ran, disappearing into the narrow side streets that braided away from Market Bridge, the knife still in his hand. Silence rushed in behind him. It wasn't complete. Cities never truly go quiet. But something fundamental shifted. The normal sounds returned cautiously. Like animals testing a clearing after a storm. Ethan lay on the ground, staring at the pale sky between buildings, trying to remember how breathing was supposed to work. Someone pressed down on his jacket. Someone else told him not to close his eyes. A voice near his ear kept repeating his name, even though Ethan hadn't told it to anyone. Sirens approached, growing louder, more insistent, cutting through the fragile calm like a verdict. Above them, mounted to a lamppost, a security camera blinked. It had seen everything. Ethan woke up in a hospital room that smelled like antiseptic and quiet panic. Time didn't make sense at first. He thought the attack had just happened, then that it had been years ago. A nurse told him his name and where he was. She told him he was lucky. People said that a lot, and he hated it every time. The wound healed slowly. Not badly, but not cleanly either. Pain lingered in ways doctors couldn't chart. He tried to ride his bike once after he was discharged, wheeling it out into the daylight with a confidence he didn't feel. His hands shook when he touched the handlebars. He walked it back inside without mounting it and leaned it against the wall, where it stayed. The footage stayed too. Police reviewed it in a quiet room, slowing it down, freezing it, rewinding it again and again. Rowan's face was clear enough. His movements unmistakable. When they released the video months later, Greyhaven watched together, scattered across living rooms and phones and office desks, united only by shock. People paused it at the moment of impact. They argued in comment sections and over dinner tables. Why didn't anyone intervene sooner? Why did Ethan grab the bike? Why was Rowan already carrying a knife? Everyone had a theory. Everyone was certain. Rowan was arrested 3 days after the footage went public. Someone recognized him near the Riverwalk and called it in. He didn't resist. He looked tired, more than anything else. In court, his name finally stuck, printed in bold letters on screens across the city, attached forever to a morning that had once been ordinary. Ethan watched the footage once. He didn't finish it. Greyhaven moved on the way cities always do, by pretending that movement is the same as healing. New stories replaced the old ones. New sirens drowned out the memory of the first. But sometimes, early in the morning, when the light hit Market Bridge just right, people slowed without knowing why. And somewhere, deep in the machinery of the city, the camera kept blinking, ready to remember again. The city didn't notice the absence right away. Cities rarely do. Rowan Pike vanished into holding cells and paperwork and legal language, reduced from a moving threat to a case number. Greyhaven told itself the danger had passed, and for most people, that was true. For Ethan, the danger had simply changed shape. He learned the sound of the street all over again. Tires rolling over damp pavement no longer blended into background noise. They announced themselves. Footsteps behind him carried weight and intention, even when they belonged to nothing more than a stranger heading the same direction. His body stayed alert long after his mind begged it to rest. Sleep came in fragments. Thin, unsatisfying pieces that broke apart at the slightest memory. He replayed the moment endlessly, but it never arrived the same way twice. Sometimes Rowan's face was clearer. Sometimes the knife appeared sooner. Sometimes the kick never came, and Ethan rode on, free and untouched, until the dream collapsed under its own mercy. The bike stayed against the wall. Friends told him to get back on it. Doctors said avoidance was normal. Temporary. Everyone spoke in timelines, as if fear respected schedules. Ethan nodded, thanked them, and changed the subject. He had learned how easily ordinary moments could turn. Trust did not return on command. When the trial began, Greyhaven paid attention again. Rowan Pike sat at the defense table smaller than he had looked on screen, shoulders hunched, eyes fixed on a spot no one else could see. The footage played for the court. Then again. Then slowed down. Each replay stripped the moment of chaos and dressed it in analysis. Frames were paused. Movements labeled. Intent debated. Ethan did not attend every session. When he did, he kept his eyes low, listening instead. Hearing strangers describe his pain with professional distance felt like a second violation. He was referred to as the victim, a word that fit awkwardly, like a borrowed coat. Rowan's past spilled out in pieces. Unstable housing, missed interventions, warning signs folded neatly into reports and forgotten. Everyone agreed something had gone wrong long before Market Bridge. No one could agree on where responsibility should land. The verdict arrived on a gray afternoon. Guilty. The word echoed without triumph. There was no relief in it, only finality. Rowan was led away, his face unchanged. As if the outcome had been decided long before the court caught up. The city exhaled. Justice, people said. Closure, they hoped. Ethan went home and sat in silence. Closure did not arrive. What came instead was distance. From the street. From the bike. From the version of himself who believed mornings were harmless. He adjusted his life in quiet ways. Longer routes, crowded places, exits always noted. The city learned his caution and worked around it. Months passed. One morning, without planning it, Ethan rolled the bike outside. The air felt similar to that day. Cool, undecided. He stood there longer than necessary, hands resting on the handlebars, heart moving too fast for the stillness. The street watched him, indifferent and waiting. He pushed off slowly. The first few seconds were terrible. Every sense screamed for danger that didn't come. Then the motion took over. Familiar, steady, honest. The city slid past him again, imperfect and alive. He didn't take Alder Street. He didn't go near Market Bridge. That was okay. Healing didn't require reenactment. Above him, cameras continued their silent work. They would watch thousands more mornings. Thousands more lives passing cleanly through the frame. Most would never matter. A few would change everything. The difference, Ethan knew now, was never obvious in advance. Greyhaven kept pretending to be calm in the mornings, and most days. It succeeded.